All right. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Forge, and welcome to, I think this is now part 5 or 6 of Mehrunes Razor. By this point, I was done the Iron Dagger, but also I wasn't recording it in parts. I was just recording the process and turned it into parts. So, I have more file work to do. So, I won't be turning the Forge on just yet. I'll be doing just a little bit of file work, like right in here, to get these little dippies done. I gotta do that. Then we'll be switching out the dies on the power hammer to the flats, because right now they're radial. So if they're radial, they'll kind of like squish metal out more. But also that's what happened the last time when I made the first Mehrunes Razor. When I made the Tang, I had these big like scoops in them. So I'm trying to avoid big scoops. So I'm gonna switch the power hammer heads to flat dies, which will allow it to just like squish this whole back section down and into where it's supposed to be. On top of that, I have a couple of secondary projects, as I always do. I'm almost done the Dwarven Chopper. I've got to put the handle on it, and then I can sharpen it. As well, I am making a steel rose for my fiance for Valentine's Day. And then, because I am who I am, there is this chunk of spring that Logan showed me yesterday that I would like to turn into a chisel. Sorry, I guess the correct term is graver. So I want to turn it into a graver like this. This one's massive. I don't mind it, but it is relatively big. Like, it fits in the hand nicely, but I wanted to fit it into my small powered engraver. So I need to make a small one of these, or at least try to. It also appears that no one else is in the shop today, so it should just be me. Potentially, we might be having one of our other certified blacksmiths come in and just work on their own projects. But I think it's just me today, so we're going to try and get as much work done as possible. I'm going to turn the forge on basically to get some heat in here because I am freezing. I also need to get the rose petals into the fire to start working them, and potentially the spring material to make the graver. So, let's do it. Okay, so for the most part, the final work is done for now. You can see it doesn't look much different, but I did bring it all in pretty close where it's supposed to be. It looks better from this side, like it actually looks like it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do, because I didn't want to get it like perfect. All the lines are still there. I didn't go beyond them. I didn't get exactly where I wanted it to be. Basically, the plan at this point is now to change the dies of the power hammer and work this. I didn't do everything perfectly yet, because I wanted a little bit of room for error. So in case I did something somewhere that bent something, I could fix it. So I'm going to toss this in the forge, which I turned off again because I realized when I was editing the last video that the forge is, or not the last video, the one before, I think episode 3 or 4, the forge is really loud with this phone. So when I talk, I'm going to try to either be in a different area of the forge or have it off. So I'm going to turn the forge on and get this into the power hammer after I change. Actually, I'll get this going first because it's going to take a bit to heat up, and then I'll deal with the power hammer because I don't know how to change those dies, and this will be the first time I've done it. before I put the blade in there, I'm gonna take a piece of, like, I don't know, railroad spike, throw it in the fire, and then throw that in there to see how it works. Because I've never actually used the flat dies before. I've just used the rounding dies. So let's see what happens. That's a loss of pressure. Okay, so I was really hoping to be able to do that with the power hammer. However, it looks like there's something wrong with it. I don't know how to fix it right now. I've barely begun learning how to use a power hammer properly. So an issue like this, basically the ram is continuing to strike the top. So the dies are down here, there's the ram, and then there's the top, where like the air is that circulates and creates the pump. For some reason, the ram is striking the top of the hammer continuing, which is very bad. So I'm not going to touch it. I informed Rusty and Logan, I'd be like, hey, so just so you know, that's what the power hammer's doing. So we're going to do this old school style. What I'm going to do, throw it back in the forge, and then just below these scoops, I keep calling them scoops, I'm going to keep calling them scoops. Just below these scoops here, I'm going to just shoulder in a little bit and then hand hammer the tang in place. It's probably going to be the easiest way to do this now without the power hammer. I wanted to use the flat dies, I wanted to actually experience with them. I just don't trust it right now. So I'm going to do this old school. Alright, so I'm going to let that cool down a bit because I want to zip those fish slips off. Now, they're not terribly bad for the tang as far as I'm aware, but I just rather not have them. So I'm going to let that cool, zip those off, get that nice and clean. So while that's cooling, I have the rows to work on and the dwarven chopper. So I'm just going to kind of put some music on and get on that. All right, so I have zipped the fish lips off, and I'm gonna take a moment, just gonna go sit in my truck, have a break, and think how I want to progress with this. In my head right now, I'm like, cool, I could probably just taper the end like I would a point for a dagger and kind of draw it out that way, because we still have a ton of meat right there in the middle, you can see it. But I don't want to get too close, because I've already hammered this point right here, which wasn't supposed to be hammered. So I've already messed that up a little bit. So I'm gonna just try to do this normally and then just grind or file out the excess meat that's there. As well, I have hammered out all of the petals for the rose I'm making. This is the first rose I've ever made, so I'm just gonna see what happens, and if it comes out well, great. If it doesn't, whatever. I am planning on spraying it with rose champagne spray paint. It's kind of like a very light rose gold. So my fiance loves rose gold, so I'm gonna just spray it with that. Yeah, but for now, I'm gonna sit in the truck, take a momentary break, and think about my next steps.
6.5 hours later.
All right, so things got a little bit crazy today. There's no one else here but me from the actual business, and I'm not even part of the business, I'm just an intern. But a student showed up. So I ended up teaching a class who made a really cool shovel, and I'll post a picture here for you. But that took up 3 hours of my day. So I had to spend some time teaching this kid and teaching myself how to make a shovel. As well, because I'm like, I need a little bit of time just to kind of de-stress before I get back onto the actual project. I finished the rose. Does this not look so cool? Look at that, and it's balanced too. Like if I knock it, it's not just gonna fall over. That's so cool, right? Like look at that, that looks so good. So I'm just thrilled with that. That came out amazing. It's gonna cool. I'm debating painting it. I may not paint it. I may just leave it like this. I don't know. I kind of like it like this because it will rust over time, make it look red, which is, you know, that's the color of a rose. So I think I might just leave it. I'll probably wire wheel it, clean it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave that kind of like that. However, Mehrunes razor is back in the forge, and we're gonna actually get back to work. We're gonna spend about another hour just working on that, drawing the tang out. I am sorry today's video has been a little messed up, but I will finish this project. I will get hardcore into finishing this project next weekend. There's also one other thing I want to address before I call it for the day. I can't speak anymore. It's like 5 o'clock at night. I gotta go home. So I hammered in like, okay, so when the blade comes down to the point and then up and then over, there's a little tiny like scoop just before it meets the guard. I'll put a picture up here, you can see it again. I hammered in a little bit. So what I'm thinking I might do is if I put that against the edge of the anvil and hammer down, I might be able to push some of the excess tang material in and fill in that space, and then I can kind of file it back down to where it's supposed to be. Here's the thing with this blade. I'm still yelling because the forge has been on all day. The tang doesn't need to go the full width of the guard because it's not peating at the end. There's an orb at the end. So the tang can go halfway down the handle before it needs like any, I mean, there's no reason it can't. It's a thin handle anyways. It'll go halfway down the handle, and then the rest of it's going to be wood, and then I'll put that orb at the bottom. So I don't need to make, I'm just fighting more for myself. I don't need to make the tang the full length of the handle. I can leave it the way it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it for the day. And again, I apologize. This is going to be a very weird and short episode, but I got stuck doing something I didn't know how to do, and I had to do it. But we basically, hold on a second. So we've done the file work to make it all neat and pretty up here by the points. We should clear up down here by the guard, and then we'll file down or grind down the rest of the tang. We have a lot more material to take out in the middle, so we can extend it just a little bit. I kind of like thicker tangs because it's sturdier. Outside that, the blade is almost done. Now, here's the thing. For that black insert that goes in the middle, what I'm going to do, and I've been thinking about this for like a week now. Sorry, my hand's in the way. I have a tripod. What am I doing? For that black metal insert that goes in the middle of the blade, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to take a chisel or a grinding disc, something small, simple, something I won't wreck the project, and I'm going to draw a line across the blade where that black metal insert is supposed to be, and then more or less just play a trick of the eye and use a specific carbide burr for my Dremel and kind of take a chunk out so it'll be flat where the blade is. Like from this point on, it's like down to the blade, and then the middle here is where the meat is. I'm basically going to do a bit like this, so I'm not actually flattening the middle. It's just going to be like curved and smooth, and it'll kind of blend into itself and make it look like it's an insert, but it's not. So that's what I'm going to do to make it that metal insert appearance. I'm going to make a piece up first. I'll probably just take a piece of mild steel I got sitting around here next time, and I'm going to try that as a baseline of the project before I actually do the project, because the last thing I want to do is take this damn near perfect replica and mess it up with something I have no idea if it's going to work or not. So that's it for today. Again, I apologize, super short episode, super weird, but I gotta go.